opinions expressed by the participants in this program or those of the individuals involved do not necessarily represent the views of Gray Media Inc., KTVF, my mother, or the Commissioner of Baseball.
This is a about that weather, huh? First it's snowing, and then it's windy, and then it gets colder, and I don't know what the heck. It's Alaskan winter. Welcome to show number 17 here, I believe, on the 23rd. If I did the math right, I am J.R. Lewis. I'm here to be here and invite you to join us at any time for interior insights, encore presentations, or lots of things about our hometown of Fairbanks at webcenterfairbanks.com. You have the use of our app, which is Alaska's news source, Fairbanks. I remembered it this week. And you also have all of your set-top box, Apple TV, Roku. We have an app for that, too, so you can watch us on the big screen if you would like, with nachos. If you would like to get in touch with me, if you have ideas for the show, segment ideas, something silly, something public, something private, whatever, jrlewis at ktvf11.com. I am more than happy to check the mailbag and see if you're in it. Now, this week, we are going to have part 2 of my conversation with Jerry Evans. Because, as I've said repeatedly, when two broadcasters get together to chat, it doesn't fit in one program. So we made 2. And we'll talk a little more about comedy and then just a little bit about life in Fairbanks from a couple of people who've been here a long time. Next week, I'm not 100% sure. We've got a couple of possibilities. At some point, I have the other part of my conversation with Jeff Cook that, again, was not about the topic that we discussed before, the PET scanner, which went successfully, by the way, getting the funds for that, just in case you hadn't heard. So that's in the hopper, and then there's also, I might get to talk to the Avalanche guys, which is probably good to talk about safety with regard to that subject with all of the weather that we've been having. So those are possibilities for next week, unless something even more timely comes up. And as for our story of the week, we're going to turn to Adrian Peterson this time, reporting on how soldiers of the 11th Airborne Division are engaging in the annual Joint Pacific Multinational Readiness Exercise, or JPMRC. Thankfully, Adrian told the story himself, so I don't gotta.
The Joint Pacific Multinational Readiness Center exercise, or JPMRC, is an annual exercise conducted by the 11th Airborne meant to simulate warfare in an Arctic environment. A big part of turning simulated combat into effective readiness, however, is establishing technological adaptations for extreme Arctic conditions.
While we are assigned to Alaska and we have to operate and learn how to fight in the awesome cold, we also have to be able to take the same technology across any mission we have throughout the Indo-PACOM theater.
The exercise takes place just 15 miles from Fairbanks, where troops and equipment are exposed to double-digit sub-zero temperatures. The conditions can cause problems for some tools used by soldiers.
And we work with the Army laboratories to look for those new solutions or new technologies that might help us solve those problems and still accomplish our mission.
One such technology includes unmanned aerial systems, also called UAS.
We have identified some problem areas where UASs might not necessarily work as effectively in the super cold as they do in regular temperatures. And so we are integrating significantly more UAS and identifying those problem sets during JPMRC this year than we have in the past.
As soldiers simulate combat with such technologies, feedback and evaluations help ensure defensive forces are prepared for the possibility of combat.
I hope we can take that learning and change it to something positive into the future.
When the exercise ends on February 26th, those involved with technology innovations for the Army will be able to begin their work. Adrian Peterson, Alaska's news source.
All righty. Thank you, Adrian. And, of course, the work of all of our local reporters, Adrian Peterson, Alex Bengal, Matt Murtis, all on webcenterfairbanks.com if you ever want to see what they're doing. And sometimes the version of a story that they do that gets put on the web will be a lot more detailed than what is able to be broadcast, just because of time constraints. Whereas the web, you don't have any constraints like that. So feel free to check the website and stay up to speed on everything our reporters are covering here in the interior. To the calendar now. Always like to feature a couple of items from there. And the first one is Know Your Rights Immigration Enforcement, which is taking place the 24th. I guess that's tomorrow as this show comes out. 10 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. in the Greening Building, room 202, 1747 South Chandler Drive, which, of course, is up there on campus. And what's happening is the American Civil Liberties Union of Alaska is coming to UAF. Join speakers Heba El-Hendi and Cindy Woods to learn about the legal framework of immigration, individual rights when interacting with federal officials, and how to safely serve as bystanders and legal observers, understand what the law says, and how to respond in real-world situations. Again, this is an item up on our calendar at Web Center Fairbanks, so you can see if there are any more details there. Page 2, journalism event. Environmental Journalism Beyond Boundaries, and that'll be this Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the BP Design Theater, 1764 Tanana Loop. And they say you can join them for a conversation with Michelle Nahoys, I think is how you say that, a journalist and author of Beloved Beasts, Fighting for Life in an Age of Extinction. She'll explore what it means to cover the environment in moments of crisis and spotlight the people and organizations forging hopeful paths forward. It's free and open to all. The program can be attended on campus or streamed live via Zoom. You can come and be a part of the conversation and hear a leading journalist share timely, thought-provoking perspectives. Again, webcenterfairbanks.com for all the details that we have on that. And then a bonus, because I really wanted to talk to the FNA folks, and I didn't find out about this in time. I actually saw their presentation at Rotary and was lamenting not having learned about this a week earlier. But the 2026 Festival of Native Arts, Elevating Our Strength in Unity. It's a vibrant fusion of dance, art, language, and culture taking place up at UAF. You can see the details there on your screen in the poster. This year's theme, what they do is each year the festival students gather after the final performance to reflect on the event and collaboratively choose the theme for the following year. The 2026 theme, Elevating Our Strength in Unity, speaks to the power and collective identity of shared purpose. It honors the strength found in coming together across generations, communities, and cultures to celebrate resilience, creativity, and connection. And another part of this that was, I think, significant when I saw this presentation last week, every year the Festival of Native Arts Club chooses an individual or group to dedicate the festival to, and the 2026 FNA is dedicated to those affected by Typhoon Halong. Real good idea. And we wish them all success. Now, this item is not on our calendar, but you were able to see the information in the poster, and I certainly hope folks will go. They don't charge for anything. They emphasize that at the talk. It's all free. So the website has most of those and other things that are coming up. If you ever want to put something on the calendar, just go to Web Center Fairbanks and navigate around. I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out. It's time again for Jerry, who, as we said last time, has built a remarkable career promoting stand-up comedy in Alaska for over 3 decades, including bringing national headliners to Alaska, and that great documentary, which you can see on YouTube. We talked about that last time. Our previous show, by the way, is on the website and the app and on your TV app and all of that if you want to watch that one after the fact today. And we're going to wrap up the comedy discussion on this show and touch on why living in Fairbanks is superior to all options. So here we are, episode 17 of Interior Insights, Jerry, Part 2. Have you been happy with how the whole process has evolved? Has it met expectations or gone way beyond, or, you know?
Probably beyond. It's funny how sometimes you don't realize where you are because you don't take a look back. But the fact that I've got it to this point and I'm doing my shows and I get to be, it's weird to say to comedians or agents that we're in a position now where we get to really be picky about who we bring up. And I should probably point out, when I say we, that's my default thing. It's me. I run Elastic Comedy, do everything I book, I pick up, I deal with clubs, I do the tickets, I do the flyers. So it's really me, but it sounds more like a well-oiled machine if I go,
I'm exactly like
we
that.
Bring this, it's me.
You know, with our little radio stations down in Cordova, I'm like, we. And yet, no, that's a situation. We have no employees, so everybody has to listen to me on everything. I'm on every spot and everything. But I get that. It feels like, well, and, you know, again, you and Glenn are thought of as a duo on everything, but I remember when you guys debuted the documentary that he said, "Hey, I just show up." You know?
Yeah, he does, but he's, you know, we've been best friends since we first met back in the mid '80s. Yeah, and I will say without a doubt, he's the best stand-up comedian in the state of Alaska. You know, we got Jamie Lissow and John Doerr living here from time to time, so that's a little different. But as far as any real stand-up comedians, and I know because I've hung out with them, I've seen all the Anchorage comics, but boy, Glenn's he's kind of on a different level. You know what I mean? He really seems like he is a pro, but it's and for somebody that's in one area and is only doing a weekend, like maybe 10 weekends a year. Because typical comedians will go down to L.A. and you're working out, or New York, you're working out your material every night. But the fact that Glenn keeps coming up with all kinds of new stuff and presents it so well. Yeah. Anyways, so I'm a fan of his comedy. So yes, it would never be the same without him there. But yes, he is right where I'm doing all the logistics, all the behind the scenes stuff. And you asked me about where it got now, and so when I say we get to be picky, I'm looking at comedians who we want to bring up. I'd like bringing up occasionally folks that have been here before and it went over really well and we know. So I get to be picky with where they are, and we've got such a good reputation where there was a time when comedians might not know about, you know, what it would be like up here. But now I can always, if I'm pitching it to a comedian, I really want to get them up, I would say, oh, you're friends with Lachlan Patterson, Bill Dwyer, you know, Todd Glass, these guys, like, just ask them. They'll tell you. And they do. And they're like,
you've got the documentary too, you know, as a tool.
Yeah. So I'm very excited at the level of comedians that I'm getting up here is rivals any comedy club anywhere. There was a time when we had our shows are, of course, 1 month apart, but it was Quinn Dale, Jimmy Schubert, and Jamie Lissow. So ironically, when I was looking to go into Vegas, 3 weeks in a row, they had the exact same three comedians in that exact same order. and that's at the Tropicana, you know, that's at the Laugh Factory there. So we're doing all of us here at Alaska Comedy are doing a good job of bringing up these great comedians with great reputations. I'm very happy. And anywhere I go in the country now, oftentimes I can just get in to the club, or I know comics that are working there. If I'm going to a town, I bet you I know a comedian that's going to be there that week or the week after when I'm there, and I can reach out to them, hang out with them, go to the shows, all that kind of stuff. So.
And the interior, you know, the residents here, you mentioned the popularity in North Pole and the success of the shows. People are behind this. They've been supportive and excited about it. Yes, 100%. And we have a lot of regulars who come out. And that's part of the thing about doing it once a month and keeping the costs at where it is. You're paying less for these comedians than you would if they were in Anchorage, or certainly at a comedy club anywhere. But I always wanted to make it a value
to where people feel that if they can go out, they can go see it once a month. You know what I mean? It's it's nothing astronomical. It's rare that we would ask for more than the $25. But sometimes if you got a Josh Blue up here or something like that who's selling out theaters, you need to charge a little more. But I try to make it a value so we get a lot of the same people coming back. And the good thing about the crowds that we get here is they've been to enough shows and we've kind of fine-tuned the way the crowd interacts with the comedians, because there's some rough and tumble. You can go on YouTube and see, hecklers, comedians dealing with hecklers, and that just doesn't happen here because the crowd knows. And on the rare occasion it's somebody's first time out to comedy and we take care of the situation in a kind way, because usually hecklers aren't mean. It's usually not a you suck. It's usually somebody being loud, somebody wanting to be involved in the show somehow. So they're not necessarily mean people or rude people. They just see on other clips on TV, oh yeah, people heckle. It's like,
and then they get on camera.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, so the crowds here are very good, and the comedians, trust me, when they come up, they notice that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons comedy is just such a perfect date night type thing, or a night out, because you, as an audience member, don't have to worry about carrying on a conversation. You know what I mean? It's like you're sharing an experience with somebody, but you're not on all the time.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm the same way. It's like I love getting up and doing comedy, but once I intro the headliner and I get to sit down in my seat, maybe grab an adult beverage, and then I just get to enjoy and relax and watch.
Yeah. Well, and that comes, I understand that too. Both of us, I'm sure, coming from radio, dead air is an enemy. So if it's quiet and it's not supposed to be, we kind of feel this need to say something. So to be able to get that break and just ingest. Yeah,
it's interesting that you should say that, because we covered these kind of things in the Funny Festival with our workshops. Is that I do what they call taking the bullet. I host, so I take the bullet, I get everybody focused. So my pacing is a lot quicker, where I don't have a lot of gaps and stuff. I want to kind of plow through, get this energy going. And then Glenn comes on, and Glenn is more conversational and relaxed. So there is some quiet spaces there. And it's okay, because people are now settling in. And so by the time we hand the baton over to the headliner, they're used to laughing, they're relaxed, they're focused, and so it's kind of a win situation. But when we tell the first time comics, because they've never been on stage and had people laugh, it's like when you say a joke and people are laughing, let them laugh.
Yeah.
Don't try to, if you try to rush your next line, then you're taking away their reward. They want to laugh.
Yeah.
And then they want to be real quiet real quick if they think you're saying something, so they'll quit laughing because they want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
So as Miles Davis said, it's not the notes, it's the space. No, it's not the notes you play, it's the notes you don't play. He said music is the space between the notes. Right? That's good. That's good jazz one. I'm surprised I remember that. But same thing with comedy. It's like the punchline, but then that space there, that's where the laughs are. And so you got to let people live in that little pocket.
Yeah.
So
no, that's good. And you're talking about Fairbanks audiences and the nature of Fairbanks people. It's fun to visit with people who have been here for a long time. We kind of shift gears out of the comedy and just the being of Fairbanks. And I mean, you born and raised here. How do you feel like the community has changed a bunch over your lifetime, particularly as connected as you have been to it, or has it managed to, sort of keep its identity as being Fairbanks?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, everything evolves.
Yeah.
And for me, I can't imagine a time when I won't have, because some people just get up and they leave Fairbanks, but I feel I'm always going to have a connection here. I'm always going to want to be doing stuff here, even if my wife wants to move to Maui. So it's like we're going to try to find a balance. But things have changed a little bit. But the one thing I think what makes Fairbanks unique, and this is something I've said before, and I'm talking about the United Way and doing all this kind of stuff. Fairbanks is so unique because if somebody's stuck in a ditch, needs a push, you're probably going to find somebody getting out of a Ford F-150 with a "Let's Go Brandon" bumper sticker, getting out next to somebody in a Subaru with a Coexist bumper sticker. And we're all, we'll push everybody out together, we'll high five, and we'll all wish each other a good day. And then maybe you'll go argue on Facebook if you want. But we have there's something here that's a shared experience that we're all going through. There's a lot of people in this town that I am a completely 180 on their politics or the way that they look at things, but I try not to judge, but they're a product of their environment and how they were raised or how they think. And some of them I know are great people, but we just don't agree on the same things. And there's a lot of people in this town that would drop what they're doing and help me out, even though, again, we're not connected the same philosophically or politically or anything, but they're just good people. So I think in Fairbanks, we can look past some of that stuff on the surface because we're all in the same boat to some degree.
Yeah. Well, and the way that people chip at each other too online. I remember the one time I got to participate when Bill Walker was at the roast.
Yeah.
And you talked about that, the difference between trying to communicate on Facebook versus real life. And there is just something about that whole dynamic that has shifted the way that people interact.
Right.
But so have you, in the other places that you have been, I mean, maybe you've been long enough to really embed in the community, but do you find that Fairbanks is probably more on the unique side of that in terms of being able to look past what sign you've got in your front yard or any of that kind of thing?
I can't speak for everybody, but I just really try not to get worked up about that kind of thing because, as you know, through Facebook and almost anything, nobody's going to change anybody's mind.
Not there.
How many times on Facebook or in a conversation you thought, oh, I'm dropping the mic. That's it. That's a perfect way. Surely they'll understand and get it now. And they never do.
And yet when we have our interactions in person,
right,
that's one of the things that's nice about being here is you're saying a lot of that peels away and we just focus on the task at hand.
Oh, yeah. It's surprised me, some people that I know, I run into the store and stuff, and then every once in a while I'll see them put something on Facebook that surprises me. It's like, wow, I didn't know that person thought like that. I mean, he didn't really care. But yeah, so when you run into people at the stores, it's like I always say, when I smile at a person, their reaction tells me everything I need to know about that person. Because I'm a door opener, I'm a smiler, I'm a nodder, whether I know them or not. But
and a lot of people that I ask about, and I should ask you this at this point, as a lifer, I mean, you've been a whole lot of places and done a bunch of different things, and yet you keep coming back here. Why Fairbanks?
It's a very good question. My wife asks me that almost daily. But I don't know. It's I kind of have, this might sound strange, but I've built up some goodwill here. That I know a lot of people that know me. I haven't burnt any bridges in this town. There's only one person in this town that I will never work with. But only one. And since I'm 65 years old now, that's saying something. So I don't know. There's just something very comforting about it. It's hard to explain when it's in the middle of January and it's dark all the time. But there's something about the people, something about the vibe and the energy, and something about me calling up a mechanic or something that I don't know anything about, but I need to get my car fixed, and I hope the guy's not going to try to gouge me or take advantage of me. And you call, and it's like, hey, Jerry.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. As soon as you hear that, you're like, okay, this is going to be okay. So, so there's advantages to, I can't get away with anything in this town, I'll tell you that.
Nope.
But it's good that I've built up a lot of, I've got some good friends here, but a lot of people that I call friends, even though I don't run into them that often or spend that much time. It's like I seem to get the benefit of the doubt here, much like I give the benefit of the doubt. So it's a lot of things that keeps me coming back, and a lot of it is, the summers here are beautiful in certain parts of the winter, and I've been in the throngs of New York, and I've been in these heavily populated areas before, and there's just something so nice about it, be able to go to Creamer's Field and feel like you're the only person on the planet.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that. So, yeah, it's home.
It's been, for me, the thing that I've always appreciated is, even though it's gotten bigger over our lifetimes, the whole East, Home Depot, Lowe's, that whole, what we had a funny name for it. The sprawl. We call it the sprawl. We have more of that stuff. 2 Fred Meyers now. No more Market Basket. There's a lot of stuff that has evolved. And yet, to me, it doesn't really feel like the character of the community has changed all that much. How does that feel? And then, of course, I was gone for 20 years, so that's a factor. But what do you think?
I understand what you're saying. I think there's been, quite a few changes. I mean, when you look back at the glory days, like when we first started in radio, one of the reasons why you can't put yourself in the same kind of position. Now, everything had just come together. That was at a time when, on a Monday night in Fairbanks, there would be no fewer than 10 live bands playing. And they would be playing from 10 o'clock at night till 4 o'clock in the morning, and there would be crowds at all these bars. You know what I mean? So the dynamic in that day was so much different. It's like now I get up before 5 o'clock in the morning, and there was a time when I got done DJing at 5 o'clock in the morning. So a lot of things have changed. The vibe of that has changed completely. So there's not as much of as this wild nightlife, and I just think that's kind of changed the dynamics just a little bit. But people, that was how you used to have to engage, and you used to have to get your entertainment was to go out and do that. And now you don't.
And now it's just beamed into your home,
right?
Basically.
Yeah. Now we have a ton of choices.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like there really are that many concerts anymore, or that many music performers coming up here.
Yeah, and they're pricing themselves out of the market a little bit, because not to get too heavy into this, but I'm sure your viewers, listeners,
I don't know,
podcastees, I don't know so I'm sure they get it back in the old days. It used to be performers, bands, artists would make their money off record sales, and they would just go to tour to promote and sell more records.
Right.
Well, now they're not making money on record sales. So now the only way they can make money is to tour and do these shows. And so they're charging a lot more, and some to a ridiculous amount. So they're charging more because that's how they have to make their living instead of just selling the music. So prices have gone up. When I was in New York, I went down to the Comedy Cellar, which historic club there. If you ever go to New York, go to the original McDougal Street Comedy Cellar, very famous. But I've seen a number of people, including Dave Chappelle there. I sat through and watched Dave Chappelle for 2 hours on stage. So, but at Madison Square Garden that same night was Shane Gillis, who I would love to see Shane Gillis, and there's a good chance that he might just walk up on stage at the Comedy Cellar, because that's what they do to work out material. And I thought about seeing him as playing Madison Square Garden, and the cheapest tickets I could find, they were for $300. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit in nosebleeds and watch a comedian 100 yards away from me for $300.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of times they kind of price themselves out of that market. And that's what makes it interesting for me as a promoter, because I want to bring up some of these bigger names, but I also want I don't want to charge that much, and I don't want to play in a big theater. I would never want to do the Carlson Center.
Yeah.
Herring you can get away with but it's a little tougher. That's why I love the Pioneer Park / Alaska Land Civic Center, because it seats 350 people.
Yeah.
So it's just perfect.
More intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. You referenced back to radio a little bit, and in a bout of total selfishness, I want to hear about the influence of Jay Lewis on things that you've done over the years.
Yeah, Jay Lewis, and he knows, because he's still up there on that pedestal. It's a pedestal where few are in this town, and that would be pretty much Bill Wally, Ag Baba, Lowell Purcell, maybe, and your dad.
Yeah.
So no, when I moved back up in 82, I found out about Jay Lewis. I started listening to your dad a little bit, even though I was doing my own things. But your dad I've always had a love for the nostalgic feel or the nostalgic vibe. And something about listening to your dad was like listening to Casey Kasem or and now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah.
So there was something very, for me, comfortable about listening to Jay, just because he, kind of like you do, he has that great Steve Allen-y, homey kind of vibe, and a wicked sense of humor that a lot of people don't always realize. Yes. But very big fan of his, and he influenced us in ways, but we were, young punk kids at the time, but it's appreciated him. And then he would do stuff with Dennis Hartley, who when I first saw live comedy was when Dennis was hosting at the Roof. So big fan of Dennis, and I know Dennis and your dad they're funny individually, but hilarious together.
Yeah, I know.
And they would do
tapes.
that. They would do that theater of the mind type stuff too. Yeah. Right, where you would create an environment through sound effects or whatever, or misdirection, tell people you're doing something, and people could envision that. So so they were doing that. Your dad was doing that before we were doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So we had people that influenced us doing radio, and your dad was definitely one of them.
Yeah. Well, and you talked before about how, people may have a Facebook persona, but then the people with the different bumper stickers will get together and help out. Obviously, your operation and his operation, which I was part of, the operations were competitors in the marketplace. And yet, whenever I saw you guys and Jay, I was, way out on the periphery at that point, but it was always amicable and mutually supportive. And, so it's like, yes, we compete, but as human beings, we interact and we respect. And, he was the one actually, wasn't that nominated you guys for the ABA Hall of Fame?
I think he had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Him and Perry kind of, and that was huge because we were all fans of radio, and it's a little different for the younger people. Now we say I'm a fan of music, I'm a fan of this, but it was, radio back in that was like the golden days, the golden age of radio. We weren't quite at the Colgate Radio Hour. We weren't quite that far back, but there was a magic to radio at the time because it wasn't much else. So we were all kind of kindred spirits. So we all, I think, respected each other. There was a salesperson, I won't say his name, over at the country station who didn't feel quite the same way about us. But yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because I think I mentioned on previous show or two shows ago how we had been gone for a little while, the first part of January, on a trip with them. We cruised over to Hawaii with them.
Great.
And the reason that we had a chance to plan the whole thing and then say, hey, you guys want to come along. And one of my goals was to do extensive oral histories with both of my parents. And, Mom's was like 2 sessions and Jay was like 6 because he's Jay.
Right, yeah.
But the reason I bring that up is I want to let you know that you guys came up when he was talking about his radio days. So again, I think that mutual admiration is still very much there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I still reach out to him every once in a while for one thing or another. And when he was downscaling, he gave me some of the old ratings books back when we were competitors and everything, because he's downsizing. He's doing the same. He did the same thing I'm going to have to be doing very soon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Glenner ended up with about 70% of his vinyl collection.
Yeah,
so,
I know. Dang him. Glenn's got a good, as do I, but he's got a good. Got
the vinyl.
He goes out, he hoards it. He finds out who's. Yeah. He's almost a buzzard. But he's.
This has been a great visit, Jerry. I really appreciate you being willing to come in. Wish you continued success with the comedy. If another visit at some point down the road would help out, please just let me know. And I hope that this continues to go as well as it seems like it has been.
Thank you, and congratulations on what this is becoming.
Yeah,
because you're old school. This is not. You couldn't have imagined this when you first started getting into radio.
No,
that this is where we would be.
Yeah, and yet here we are, with all the changes in the landscape and this opportunity so we can have longer conversations. Yes. It's not all about sound bites and stuff. It's like you said, the ability to just talk to people and kind of find out what's going on. So I appreciate you being a part of it.
Well, thanks. I appreciate you.
So there you go, Jerry Evans Part 2, which you can combine with Jerry Evans Part 1, much like a big juicy steak and a glass of white wine, or red, some kind of something. Anyway, what was I talking about? The other show. You can see the other show in the archive. And thank you, Jerry, for being here and tuning in. And I hope that we're going to get Glenner in here for that, that other thing that there might be to talk about, a thing that no doubt will be interesting. So that's for the future. Meantime, how about Fab Photo? Ready for Fab Photo? Photos that you send in, they go on our website. Many of them are getting featured here, could end up in our calendar. And this is 2 weeks in a row for Nick Marchuk, who was good enough to send us Skies on Fire. Look at that one. Wow. And if you're doing audio only, that's a shame, but we're not going to leave you out because we have invested in the incredible technology known as the Descriptionator.
This is
Bright green, pink, and purple auroral curtains arch across a starry night sky, reflecting faintly on a calm, ice-edged river in the foreground. Snow-covered ground leads to dark silhouettes of coniferous trees lining the riverbanks, evoking the remote wilderness of interior Alaska.
That's such an amazing photo. I'm not even gonna. There's no punchline. There's nothing to add. There's just the spectacular glory of the aurora, and plus, of course, the opportunity to goof around is coming up. Here. But first, let me remind you: send your photos to webcenterfairbanks.com. in the Fab Photo section so we can maybe share them right here and now over there.
It's time for the thing of the day, 'cause every day has things.
Because this show comes out on the 23rd, then that means that we look to the 23rd on the almanac and discover what's on the 23rd. One of them is National Play Tennis Day. What better way could there be to keep your body fit than sports? There are hundreds of sports, both team and individual, guaranteeing that everyone can find something that's just right. Tennis has been a favorite sport since the 19th century, so if you haven't tried it yet, it's high time you did. And that's what National Play Tennis Day is all about. See, it's right there in the name. How to observe, you say? Well, some will start playing tennis. Some will sign up for tennis lessons. Some will watch a tennis match live or on the internets. And P.S., long-term studies suggest that regularly playing tennis is linked with a greater life expectancy compared to many other physical activities. Of course, there are certain aspects of living in certain places that certain writers of almanacs don't necessarily take into account. But hey, it's all in what you love. Ha! Love! You see what you see? And so show number 17 ends not with a bang, but, like a drum set falling down the stairs, and we're glad that you could tune in, and we hope that you'll tune in again and that we haven't driven you off. WebCenterFairbanks.com is the website. Alaska's news source Fairbanks is the app, which I believe is the same name as the app that you use on your televisions. If you have an Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV, I don't know how many of them we're on. We're on several. And anything you want to discuss with me publicly or privately, jrlewis at ktvf11.com. We don't out people that, want to ask a private question. It's not, that's rude. That would be rude. We're not going to be rude most of the time. Next week, not 100% sure. We might be visiting with Jeff Cook. We might be talking about avalanches. We'll see how the schedule shakes out. And in the meantime, on behalf of the Interior Insights apparatus, hope you have a great week.